Welcome back to the Blister and Muck podcast. I'm Jenny Mason, your host and the creator of the Blister and Muck series. This week, the OpeRATives invade the circus. Will they have to jump through hoops? As you may recall, Madam Putreska intends to free the circus animals from captivity. I'd be lying if I told you that events go entirely to plan. First off, Blister, Muck, and Madam Putreska discover something they did not plan for. Then they cross paths with someone they did not expect to see. As a result, freeing the animals is just like making clown shoes. No small feat. Get ready, because this and the next 3 episodes promise to deliver an action-saturated thrill ride, bar none. And I think it no spoiler to tell you in advance that no clowns are eaten by rampaging lions. I mean, everyone knows clowns taste funny. When Blister and Muck first shared their madcap story with me, I will admit I had many questions about circuses in general. For instance, where do circuses come from? How far back do they exist in human history? And if dogs host a flea circus, are they obligated to showcase any acrobatics? Some answers were easier to find than others. For instance, historians point out that in some form or another, circuses are ancient entertainment. Whether you've been to a bona fide live circus or have only ever seen them on TV or in movies, the version which we all know best today arose in the 1770s, around the same time 13 British colonies fought a war for independence. Once victorious, those colonies would go on to create not just a new nation, but a revolutionary form of democratic governance. And while that fledgling nation, called the United States of America, struggled to establish and sustain itself, it met the circus. You could say it was like when Romeo met Juliet. Or, even better, it was like when jelly met peanut butter. The point is, once they'd met, there was no going back. Both circus and nation found their fates forever braided and bound together. Researchers generally credit Philip Astley with creating the modern circus. He was a British war veteran and cavalryman. He owned an equestrian school in London where he taught people how to ride horses. At some point, Astley staged in the riding ring a theatrical show highlighting his best trick riders in combination with a gaggle of clowns and an acrobat troupe. This novel entertainment sailed across the Atlantic to America. George Washington actually witnessed the first circus performed in Philadelphia in 1793. And here we arrive at the historical and metaphorical crossroad. Had the circus never encountered the United States, perhaps it might have remained a sophisticated mixture of athletic and comedic prowess. And had the United States never laid eyes on the circus, perhaps it would have remained a humble farming country. Instead, the two linked arms and somersaulted together in an unforeseen direction. If the circus was the place where you suspended reality and let your imagination run wild, then so was the U.S. Likewise, if the U.S. was a place where the old rules and old ways of doing things were tossed out, then the circus would also be that kind of place. Consequently, industries in the United States did not just grow, they grew with a circus-style pizzazz. And circuses didn't just add more acts or animals, they morphed and mutated thanks to American ingenuity. Business tycoons like J.D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, and J.P. Morgan were mirror images of entertainment moguls like P.T. Barnum, James A. Bailey, and the Ringling Brothers. The circus and the nation taught each other 2 lessons simultaneously. The first lesson, follow your dreams. The second lesson, dare to dream the impossible. Fast forward a couple centuries and consider the United States today. Our shopping malls, amusement parks, online shopping emporiums, streaming services, and social media platforms all have one thing in common. They are all fundamentally a circus. All the world's wonders, treasures, and oddities are housed under one extravagant roof or beneath the flickering blue glow of a device screen. And in our modern world, the ringmaster and the industry mogul are no longer mirror images of each other. The mirror is gone. They have merged into one Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, or Sundar Pichai. All of which makes me wonder, can we distinguish the difference between following our dreams and letting our imagination run away with us? Episode 4. The Circus Performers. To reach the circus, Madam Putreska launched her armada of jetsam-built pedal boats. With Blister and Muck in tow, she and the OpeRATives sluiced through the sewer tunnels. A drainage channel delivered them, and a lot of solid slop, to the Black Rust River. The slop floated downstream, while the boats proceeded up the river's arm. Mire, crud, fungus, and yuck puffed and chuffed as they pedaled against the strong currents. Night had descended hours ago, yet the heat of the long summer day lingered. Beneath the onyx star dome overhead, a rim of pale blue sky sank toward the horizon, silhouetting the serrated spines of the Char and Mar Mountains. The east bank abutted the tangled wilderness that was the backside of Tenebrous Hill. The west bank hosted the circus, which sprawled over Raven Heath, near the wrist of the Black Rust River. The many tents, wagons, and generators powering strings of electric lights filled the wide, grassy field, buffered by woodlands. "Oh, good," Puss remarked. "No buildings for Blister to demolish." The other operatives snickered. "It was an accident," Blister said to Muck, whose expression twisted like a question mark. As the boats docked along a sandbar, Puss tweezed Blister's arm. "Be sure to keep in line," he drawled. "You're no operative, and you don't call the shots, you hear?" "I call my own shots," Blister sneered to expose the side of his mouth with the fewest missing teeth. The battalion of rats darted through the tall grass. They raced for the biggest tent striped in vibrant red and white. Once they gathered along the side of that tent, Blister could see the white stripes were dingy with travel dust, mildew, and other stains he chose not to recognize. The generators droned. The band inside the tent blared. The crowd cheered. Madam Putreska did not have to whisper as she doled out orders. The operatives dispersed. They were to scour the entire circus and compile a full count of all the animals in need of rescue. Meanwhile, she, Blister, and Muck circumnavigated the big tent until they reached the performers' entrance. It was little more than a slit in the side of the heavy canvas fabric. A canopy marked the entrance and gave the performers a shady place to wait when they performed during the day, or else a dry place when it rained. Clowns, dancers, and acrobats loitered. The beads, sequins, and tassels on their costumes tinkled and twinkled. The 3 rats hid in the center of a sandbag cluster slung from the ropes that secured the canopy against sudden gusts of wind. Because the plan was to free all the animals as soon as all circus staff fell asleep, they needed to ascertain when the show would end. The trio peered through slim gaps between the sandbags and spied on the performers' conversations. Muck abruptly puffed and pointed to his peephole.
Look, look, it's Vexler!
Blister jammed his face up to the gap and saw Vexler socializing with the performers under the canopy. Instead of the old, muddy duds, he wore napkin-crisp trousers, waistcoat, jacket, and bowler hat. The visible cuffs and collar of his shirt were as white as a radish's insides.
What's he doing here?
Muck worried.
Probably attempting to get another dancing bear,
Madam Putreska said.
Pipe down,
Blister hissed as all 3 rats crammed around the gap. While Vexler idled under the canopy, several performers, animal handlers, and general laborers approached him with a question and a handshake.
Vex!
Hiya, Vexler. Didn't you leave the circus to open your own show?
It's been ages. How you been?
Where's your amazing dancing bear?
To this, Vexler replied in his usual gravelly tone.
That mangy beast turned violent and attacked me. I had to put her down.
He mimed holding and shooting a rifle. The first shot aimed high, but the next several aimed at the ground. Muck fumed.
Oh, that heinous hooligan telling lies.
Shh, Blister insisted, as a short, rotund man waddled over to welcome Vexler. He wore a fine, snug suit. His small hands constantly thumbed the big lapels. His head was bald, but the middle of his face supported a big mustache. A cigar remained clamped between his teeth, even when he spoke.
Vexler Q. Drummel, you old scoundrel.
The portly man said this with a big smile and an even bigger handshake.
If it isn't Albert Hurley, the big-time circus manager,
Vexler gruffed. He nodded into the tent where the ringmaster was presently introducing the next act with an excessive supply of gusto and adjectives.
Sounds like the same old Fillmore Pratt.
Albert nodded, which kinked the coils of smoke swirling up from the cigar.
Listen, thanks for the tip-off to come perform for the Black Rust crowds. Never figured I'd come here after what happened to Hoffman's amazing Big Top. But you insisted, and if attendance is this good every night, I think we'll turn a decent profit.
Vexler smiled, or more aptly, his brown teeth emerged from under his beard.
Always glad to help an old friend.
In the totem pole of spies observing this conversation through the sandbag gap, Muck was at the bottom. From his crouched position, he said,
Did you hear that? The bearded blackguard lured the circus here.
But why?
Blister whispered from the middle.
Yes, why?
Putreska asked from the top.
He could be getting a new bear without bringing a whole circus to town.
Exactly. There are bears in the zoo. He could take one from there,
Blister said. Muck said,
I continually contend that the zoo is not to blame. Vexler Q. Drummel is the sole source of our Dr. Van Sangfroid trap trials and troubles.
Madam Putreska mused.
Perhaps he is wanting some animal that is not held in any zoo.
The ringmaster's booming voice spilled through the open flaps.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Hurley and Pratt's amazing three-ring circus is proud to present straight from the jungles of the Orient. A creature so stealthy and cunning, it is practically invisible. A beast so ferocious, one look from its devilish eyes could stop your heart.
As the ringmaster spoke, a line of dancers streamed under the canopy and into the tent. The jungle-inspired vines and fronds of their costumes flapped. Behind them came a quartet of animal handlers hoisting a cage draped with a sequined cloth.
Until recently,
The ringmaster continued,
it was believed this animal was impossible to catch. The local savages claimed it was made of smoke. Some said it was not an animal at all, but a god.
a sinister, gurgling growl rumbled under the cloth. Though it carried no words, the growl communicated clearly. I will bite you all. I will crack, shred, and eat you all. Muck trembled and knotted his tail around his paws for the first time in weeks. Blister showed no signs of fear, because he felt absolutely none. However, goosebumps rippled under his fur when a night breeze crawled unexpectedly up his back.
What is in that cage?
Putreska whispered. It was difficult to determine whether her shaking resulted from fear, anger, or a mixture of the two.
Mothers, hold your children close,
The ringmaster warned.
Gents, get ready to defend your fair maidens, for there's no telling what this beast is capable of.
Muck latched his arms around Blister. The beast in the cage must have smelled the swelling fear. It snarled, jolting the audience and the rats.
Here it comes,
The ringmaster shrilled.
let us hope it does not turn to smoke and escape its cage.
Madam Putreska and Muck jostled to another gap facing into the tent. The sudden whoosh of momentum billowed the sparkling cloth high enough for Blister to see the creature. His whiskers wilted and his claws went numb.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the one, the only, Black Panther!
The dancers removed the cloth. The audience shrieked and cheered. The sleek panther prowled small circles in the cage. Its lips curled back over its vivid fangs and incisors. The handlers carried the panther around the ring so that each section of the crowd got a good look. The dancers intensified the experience by putting on hideous monster masks, lunging at the spectators with their fingers curled like claws.
I don't know what Vexler's planning, but there's no way he's going to teach that cat to dance at Oddvine Park,
Blister said.
I second the speculation.
Albert let loose a cloud of cigar smoke.
What a great crowd! We don't get that kind of reaction in Chicago, and that's a town that appreciates cold-blooded killers. Ain't that right, Vexler?
He laughed at his joke and ribbed Vexler with his elbow. Vexler grumbled what might have been a chuckle. Then again, he might have been hacking a popcorn kernel out of his throat.
I'd better get back to tallying up tonight's haul. Good to see you, Vex. And I'm sure you gathered I still don't need another partner to run this little show. No hard feelings, eh?
The red eye of the cigar burned at Vexler, as if to say hard feelings were completely prohibited.
That's not why I wrote you to come here. I've got my own big business venture cooking. In fact, here comes my new partner. I present the esteemed Dr. Van Singfroid.
ticks and maggots. Can it be? The Dr. Van Sangfroid? Will the rats have a hard time capturing the sinister fiend? Or will they achieve trap ease? Tune in next week. In the meantime, stop by blisterandmuck.com, where you can use the contact form to tell me what you think will happen next. Have you ever been to a circus? Have you ever wanted to run away with the circus? You can also tell me your favorite jokes and puns, and I'll share them on the show. I also provide links to fun videos, informative articles, and awesome books related to the many topics we discuss. The Blister and Muck podcast is listener-supported. You can support the show by telling your friends to listen along. You can follow me on social media at JYNNEMASON. Be aware that researchers have linked spending too much time on social media with reduced mental and emotional well-being, so please, social responsibly. Would you like your very own Blister and Muck t-shirt? Visit the Support the Show page at blisterandmuck.com and check out the awesome shirts, hats, tote bags, and face masks. Basin Printing lovingly prints and ships each item right here in the Colorado Rocky Mountain town I call home. A portion of every purchase helps keep this show running week after week. A face mask can cover the cost of music or sound effects. A t-shirt fulfills next month's web hosting fees. And I enclose a special surprise with every order. Why? Because I feel tremendous gratitude for all you listeners. Special thanks to composer Roland Rudzitis for serving up the Blister and Muck theme song. Additional music from John Bartman and Kevin MacLeod. From freesound.org, Gregor Quendel provided the cheers. J.U. brought the circus band. Mick Fire cranked the generators. DJ Freud made the panther growl. And Jack Murray brought the river. Other stock sounds from the public domain. Mike Koenig crafted the scary ambiance. The real magic of this show comes from my family, friends, and fans. One for one, and all for you.